Okay, I was trying to make this review and someone tried to call me in the middle of it, and that pisses me off. Okay, so this is a review of episode 9. I've already watched episode 10. This is coming out late. Yeah. I'm really fucking aggravated, so... Can't believe the fucking phone call that I didn't choose to fucking answer fucking cancels my fucking video. That's such bullshit. So we open episode 9, basically where the fucking other episode ended, right? The emo boy that was at the movie theater is getting beaten up by 3 douchebags, and a slut is back there watching. He goes on a monologue about how if he had a button to kill everyone in the world, he probably wouldn't press it, but if he had a button to kill just people he hates, he would press it. And yeah, everyone's had that feeling. Obviously, it's very relatable. The whole, like, I hate these people, I wish they weren't alive type of thing. Essentially, the thing to take away is that his morality is eroding as he's justifying being the sole cause of someone's death and misery or whatever. So it's clear he wants them dead. And we cut back to the movie theater, and he's trying to pay for a ticket to see a movie. And the ticket person doesn't notice him at first, and he gets kind of frustrated that she doesn't notice him. You get feeling this kind of a common thing with him, that his presence goes unnoticed by people because of how passive he is and how little of a presence he commands and stuff like that. And Mahito also goes in to watch the movie. The douchebags that were beating him up are also in the movie. At least I believe it's them. I wasn't sure the first time I watched this episode, but on the rewatch, and especially with watching episode 10, I noticed that they, Itadori and the other guy in Nubasa or whatever, the guy who, the assistant, they remark that at the end of this episode and in episode 10 that the emo boy is wearing like normal clothes and that he hasn't attended school in some time. So I think these are the 3 boys that beat him up, especially because they mentioned Tsubasa, who was the slut that was with them. It is them. But I thought it was strange and wasn't sure because they didn't interact with him. But I think the reason for that is that he hasn't attended school in so long they don't realize it's him. They don't know that he's there. He knows it's them, but they don't know it's him. Kind of a thing. So I do think those were the same 3 douchebags. So they're in there and they're on their phones and they're being loud and interrupting him as he's trying to watch the movie, and he's getting really frustrated by it. We cut back to them beating him up again. Teacher walks by and he sees the teacher, but the teacher doesn't want to help him because he doesn't want to get involved. He's one of those people who just kind of walks away and says, it's none of my business. As he's getting beat up, he finally just kind of speaks his mind and insults them. Basically says that the douchebags are only doing this for a slut because they want to fuck the slut, and that she's not all that attractive anyways. Then they beat him up some more. And then there's a weird scene where even though Mahito was in the movie theater, it looks like he forms behind the boys. He his body breaks down and reforms there, it seems like, or something. So I think he was compelled in some way by the boys' hatred for them and his lust for their death. I think that's what drove him to do what he did. So he walks up to them and he touches the boys and deforms them and turns them into monsters or curses or whatever. Basically kills them, and then the boy chases after Mahito, which is what we saw in the last episode, and he talks to Mahito about what happened and tells Mahito, he asks Mahito if he can learn to do that too, because obviously he wants revenge against everyone who's wronged him. You know, as I said, his morality was eroding, and so he'd like to get his vengeance and stuff. I was writing down notes as the opening started, and when I looked up I realized that they've been adding stuff to the opening. I don't know how much they've added or what's new and what isn't, but they definitely added some stuff. So I'll keep watching the opening from now on and try and see if I notice any new stuff going on. Cut back to the movie theater, place her there. There's a woman crying. You assume it's one of the boys' parents. They kind of talk a little bit about the boys and how it's very unusual. We cut to a detective talking to a guy in a room. And they're basically just talking about how this is bizarre and this isn't normal. They see Itadori and the boy the man with the glasses, the sunglasses, that were there before them, and they're wondering where they are, but because of the bodies, they know it's something beyond their pay grade, and so they're not going to get involved or something like that. Once again, there has to be a Helsing-esque organization within the government of Japan that handles this and allows the Jujutsu sorcerers to operate. Otherwise, everyone would know about this curse shit. You wouldn't be able to keep that on the down low for very long. And we cut to the man's investigation with Itadori, and he's teaching Itadori about the curse stuff. He basically tells him to focus, to be able to see the footprints, the residual energy left by Mahito after he touched the boys. And Itadori focuses, and he starts seeing it, and it's pretty cool. I think it's interesting to watch Itadori be taught on the fly. This is very different from Gojo's approach. I really like this character a lot. He speaks his mind. He's very quick and to the point. He also has a bit of comedy to him. We cut back to his introduction to Itadori through Gojo. His name is Nanami Kinto, and he used to be a salary worker, but he disliked it because society's shit, and he essentially says everything is shit. He dislikes everything. He says that society is shit and being Jujutsu sorcerer is shit, but he's more cut out to be a Jujutsu sorcerer, so that's what he's going to do. He says he likes Gojo and appreciates what he does, but he doesn't respect him. He's a very fun character. He talks about how he dislikes the higher-ups just like Gojo does, but he also doesn't like the way Gojo does things because there does need to be some rules and some bit of order. So he stands kind of in the middle of everything. He's a middleman. He tries to be rational and logical with everything, essentially. We cut back to their investigation. They go up some stairs, they go to a roof, and they're talking. It's raining. They're planning out what they're going to do, and as they're walking, this curse walks in the corner, or crawls in the corner of the screen down a wall, and it's pretty cool. I love the way that was storyboarded. That's very creative. To have a background thing move like that while the characters in the foreground and your eyes are drawn to them. Reminds me of the scene in Attack on Titan Season 2 where we have the reveal on the wall of the two antagonists, and it's handled very nonchalantly. That was great. I love scenes like that. They're just so creative and different. And now we're going to get a fight. I'm all about my anime fights. That's the reason I watch anime. Once again, the curses are speaking, using terms that humans would use as though it was the last thing on their mind before they became a curse. So once again, I'm wondering, there gotta be people, right? I've been saying that since I started the show. One of them was saying lunchbox, which would probably be bento something. And the other one, what was the other one saying? Fuck. Was it saying perfume or something? I don't remember. The one saying lunchbox seemed like it was almost a child. But yeah, they're both saying something. The one that was talking about the lunchbox was like a green dog with off on his forearms that had long hair. Reminds me of the demon Tagoro kills when he's being hired by the mafia guy to fight Yusuke. A little bit. It's not big like that thing, but Helen was her name. It's not big like Helen, but it has a similar look. And then the white curse that Itadori fights is like a big white blob thing with arms and legs and a mouth that's vertical instead of horizontal and two big ass eyes. I still can't remember what it was saying, but yeah, we're gonna see their fight. Itadori and Nanami talk a little bit. Nanami essentially is looking down at him because he's a kid, and I forget what is said exactly, but essentially Nanami says that he's not talking down to him because he doesn't think he's not capable. It's just because he's younger or something like that. And Itadori doesn't like being talked down to like he's younger. He'd rather be underestimated. That was what he said. He would rather him be underestimated or whatever rather than be treated like a kid. Which I appreciate. I feel that way too a lot. Well, when I was younger, I did. I don't like when people would look down on me due to my age. So Nanami like pulls out this blade that's wrapped in a white cloth with black dots on it. And then he starts talking about his power, and his power is essentially he looks at something, he splits it into 7 sections, and if he attacks the third part of the 7 sections, it creates a critical. It's like a critical point. So if he hits that, then he'll do like a bunch of damage to that particular area. It basically amplifies his power. There's some great animation here from Mappa as they're fighting their stuff. Itadori's attention split as he's trying to listen to Nanami's lecture while also fighting. Nanami looks and determines the 3 points on the 4 limbs that the dog curse has, and he cuts its limbs off. At the section, Itadori, I think, remarks that he not only didn't unsheath his weapon from the cloth, but he used the blunt side of the blade rather than the sharp side to cut through it. So that just gives you an insight into how powerful his Nanami's Jujutsu is. Itadori gets beat up a little bit, but then he reveals his power, and it's a very generic thing where he kind of summons his power around his fist. You know, it's in the spirit of the John can move by Golem. It's a very generic idea, just putting your energy around your fist to amplify it. Then we get a cutback to Gojo talking about what the power is, and he calls it the Divergent Fist. Essentially, it makes it a 2-hit thing where he'll punch something, and then the power from his Jujutsu will create like a secondary shockwave. It's similar to Midoriya's steel boots. How like if he would kick a rock, it would hit, and then the reverberation would create a repellent in his toe to make like a double hit. It's similar to that, essentially. So Gojo hits the curse, and it blows a giant hole in it, and then it falls down. It looks like it's crying from the pain. Nanami goes on like a tangent. I didn't really write any notes down because I didn't think it was all that important. He said something to the effect of that Itadori's control of his power sucks, but when he uses this ability, he outputs 120% of what a normal Jujutsu sorcerer is able to put out. The power is 120% in his punch. And he said if he could be 100% in both his Jujutsu and his martial arts, he'd be like the best sorcerer or something like that. Nanami starts walking over to kill the curse he was fighting, and then he notices that it had a watch on its arm. And, you know, right there I was like, oh shit, am I right? Are we going to get the reveal? And no time was wasted. Nanami took a picture and he showed Itadori, and he makes a call, and he tells Itadori, don't panic, but the curses are people. He didn't even hesitate, he jumped right to it. So, yeah. Called that one. And then, they keep talking, and I kind of realized, like, it's Mahito. Mahito can turn people into curses, and that explains kind of what the whole conflict of the series is going to be, as far as I can tell. Though I wonder how much Mahito is going to distract from Sakura now. So Itadori is told by the nurse that he didn't kill the people that were already brain dead from before because the transformation process destroyed their brainstem or something. Trying to make him not be too worked up about it, but he still felt bad, and he still says like that he still killed them either way, and that he's really pissed off at whoever's been doing this. And Nanami kind of remarks that Itadori feels bad for other people's sake in a very strong way, and that obviously the trail of residual cursed energy was a trap because the curse that did this didn't have to leave that behind. He knows it wouldn't have been sloppy enough to essentially leave a trail, so this was obviously a trap. And then we cut to Mahito and the emo boy, and they're sitting there talking about curses, and he starts talking about teaching him the same thing we learned, that curses come from urban legends and beliefs and all kinds of stuff. And then he's telling them about their powers and what all they can do. He starts criticizing the Jujutsu texts, labeling stuff about how they're all labeling curses with grade 4, grade 3, grade 2, grade 1, and special grade, and how it's ridiculous. It seems like every episode's going to point this out. So clearly this mangaka does not like the idea that things can be broken down into such simple things, and I agree with that to some degree. I just feel like it's being kind of shoved down his throat now. I get the point. The grading system is unreliable. As they continue talking, Mahito gets down. And he starts kind of making physical contact with the boy, essentially seducing him, putting him in a place of comfort to get him to work with him and stuff. He shows interest in giving him his powers and stuff. And, you know, the boy kind of realizes like curses are made from all these beliefs and stuff and fears of stuff. But what is Mahito made of? And Mahito reveals that he's a human curse. He's a curse made by people's fear and hatred of other humans, which is weird. I thought for sure he would just be a human who had cursed energy, but he's actually a curse made in the form of a human, in the image of a human. So that's weird. Don't know what to think about that. I'll see where that goes, I guess. He acts very human. Reading books and shit and showing interest in learning about shit. We cut back to Nanami and Itadori, and they're making a plan. Itadori's going to go after the boy, while Nanami's going to go after Mahito. The boy's name is Yoshino Junpei. So I'll try to remember that in the future. Nanami kind of reveals that he knows it's a trap, but he doesn't want Itadori to be caught up in the trap. He'll go to the trap alone, which I think is kind of stupid. He could just call Gojo, and then the two of them could handle whatever it is. But Nanami's doing what Nanami's doing, I guess. It seems like he even, because he's worried about Itadori, it seems like he thinks even he might die to this. And there are some death flags around him. Itadori goes up and, you know, is like, bye, good luck, or whatever. It seems like Nanami would die here, but I don't think he will, just because this is too early for him. We just met him, and we don't have enough time to have an emotional attachment to him yet. Same thing I said about Fushiguro, when I thought Fushiguro was going to die. He was only in 3 episodes. Nanami's been in 1 episode, and so far he's a cool character. He's great at character, but I haven't had enough time with him to really care if he dies, you know? I'd be like, oh man, that sucks, I wish I saw more of him, but I'm not emotionally invested in his character yet, you know? So, either there's death flags around him, and he thinks he might die. I don't think he's gonna die. Itadori and the assistant are trailing Junpei. They have a card, and For whatever reason, Ishidori has curses in a bird cage. And that's where the episode ends, and then we get the comedy stuff at the very end, the filler or whatever, and it's where, say, Gojo's attempts to recruit Nanami. I'm really hoping tomorrow night I can record the review for episode 10, because I really liked episode 10. I had a great fight in it. This episode really was an establishing episode. Still liked it, it just didn't have... I'm a big fight person. I want to see classic shonen long-form fights, and like I said, this is an establishing episode. It wasn't bad, it just not a lot happened for me to talk about other than just establishing stuff. I think Nanami is definitely going to be one of my favorite characters, along with Mai, and I don't know about Gojo yet. Gojo probably will be. If there's one thing I can say, it's I really hope at some point we do see Gojo fight Mahito, because it would seem Mahito's the strongest curse we're going to run into other than Sakura, and Gojo's the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer, and as I've said in the past, I really want to see Gojo pushed to his limits. Anytime I hear that this character is the most powerful character, I always want to see them pushed to their limits and see if they have. I don't want to be left wondering, what if they did this, and what if they were here, and what did they do, what could they have done? You know, I want to see it. So I'm really hoping for that. Hoping he fights Mahito at some point. Doesn't have to beat him. I just want to see them fight. See what Gojo can really do. But yeah. That was episode 9. I liked it a lot. Hoping to review episode 10 soon.